I particularly like to understand the end of the world as every day. Today the world ended for me. So I go through my conscience. I read how I lived, how I tried to be who I am, what I chose for myself, and give a way of tomorrow dawn. To start creating the world again for him to finish at the end of the day. So I like to live my judgment every day. I participate in this trial. I'm the judge. I'm the defendant. I'm everything. I like to make this experience of cleaning the life that I am living. My people, many of the ghosts who live in us, they are fed precisely by our ignorance. Ignorance deprives us of being free. This is so significant in our lives, my people, because I need it all the time. To the experience of breaking the blindness that keeps me from seeing what it really deserves to be seen. Even in the awful of my days, as I run the serious risk of paying attention to what you can expect and stop doing what you can't expect. Many times I get blinded by my excessive work, so many other things that take my time, and suddenly someone plays the same role as this blind man, which Jesus played in the blind's life. Open her eyes. A word has the power to open your eyes. And how do you have? When that word is truly compromised with our happiness, with our joy, when this word is indeed committed to our good, it opens our eyes. She does more than that. It makes us see roads that we didn't see it before. The conversion begins in listening. It is a word that uninstalls us, that bothers us. It is that old experience of being invaded by a thought, an image, an experience we have done since children. So I say it's an old experience. We are already used to being permeated by the images, the words, the gestures. This is how we become. If you think the person you have become is closely linked to all the images you have seen for life, to all the gestures that have been directed to you, to all the words that have been said to you, no one is by chance. We are constructed as people gradually, as if we were a great mosaic whose small pieces were placed in different phases of our lives, by different people. So it is difficult to say who I am, man. I have no way to say who I am without remembering all the experiences I live. Of course, many are unconscious. They are hidden inside me. I don't have access to them, but they are active. And sometimes people can spend a lifetime without reflecting. And this is undoubtedly that it is very easy to happen, right? We don't problematize. Sometimes we don't want much conflict, huh? And sometimes we don't even like who conflicted us, right? God did not play when he did to you. God did not make mistakes when he did to you. It may be that you make a mistake with what God made of you, but God did not make mistakes when he did to you. There is a discomfort with the life you live today. Pay attention to the field that had sowed around you. Pay attention if the tares prevails or the wheat prevails. A sowing that is done in a community way, see? Do not throw the responsibility to the other or remove your responsibility. Anyone who wants to analyze the quality of their field sowing will have to put the two contexts, what I sow and what was sown by the other in me. And don't be afraid to pull the chaff that makes you forget that you are sublime. Don't be afraid to bring you to realities and people who recall how sublime the sky. Many anguish today are closely linked to moments of our past. So, I can't correct today if I don't access what is past either. That's why we say that every time we are willing to live the gospel, we begin to live a natural deconstruction of everything we are, everything we have learned. Because sometimes we learned things in childhood that make experience an experience of Christian values. So we always need to be aware of what is not yet Christian in us and identify the reasons for our difficulty in living that Christian value. For this, we are contacting the Word. Sacred Scripture rips our soul, tears our mind, and places in us the seed of the gospel. And then, little by little, we are being configured to Christ. My mind, which is not a Christian because it is marked by sin, it is marked by the limits of my story, I can say that. Of course, thank God, we have already advanced a lot. We have a lot of Christianity in our mind. But it may be that we find some people who have not yet managed to capture almost anything from Christianity because of the personal difficulties they faced. Some people faced very serious difficulties, human limits, which today make these people make a sincere experience of the gospel. Sometimes we get so worried as you should do this, how you should do that. But there is not much complication in this answer. You stop to ask yourself if your life, if your way of being is provoking good things, if your art, if your work, if your craft. It is easy to allow tiredness, this increasingly exhausting life that we are living. It is easy to allow all this to be forgotten within us. It's easy for us to level underneath. We become a mediocre professional, a mediocre father, a mediocre mother, a mediocre teacher. But I think it's worth we reactivate desire to be an instrumental of happiness in the life of the other. To divide with each other this responsibility to make the world better. In fact, He will not ask us what He did not give us. So faith is a natural answer that I develop as I grow up, maturing, in different ways too. Because your faith manifests, within the context of your humanity, all that is your own. I have a way of being, you have another, Christian has another, and our faith will manifest from our way of being. Why? Because God speaks the language we know how to hear. God will not talk to you with a voice that you do not understand. You may not even understand what He is telling you. But it is because it is still to pay attention. He is speaking the language you understand. Those who absorb the certainty of God's love in your life wins any battle, no matter how difficult it may be. Because when we are loved, my people, we have an immunity that helps us overcome battles. It is as if we take a daily vitamin. The body needs vitamins, even a whole hormonal production, so that we have immunity. I remember that when I was a child and at school, the science teachers taught us that immunity were soldiers of defense, wasn't it? They fought for the preservation of our health. Whenever it can mean invasive virus, a bacteria, the soldiers are recruited. Our body puts this immune system working to destroy what it wants to destroy us. Emotionally is the same thing. Every time we are in need of spiritual immunity, every time we are in need of effective immunity, the love of those who love us is the first protection. The other plays in our lives a role of giving us what we are not having alone. It is not about living for us. No, it is not a matter of becoming the one who will somehow take us forever in the back. No, but to temporarily offer us what we cannot have alone, even because friendship cannot withdraw us from autonomy. Healthy friendship is the one that the other goes through my life, and then will live your role. Will live your protagonism, and I live mine. The papers. Fraternity does not nullify my responsibility for being who I am and. My friend is beside me to help me be who I am, but not to be for me. It can even temporarily assume my role, to give me a relief, or to give me the time to have the recovery time. He would stop. But Larissa, what you were saying is very confusing in people's minds. Sometimes we want to medicate sadness but don't know how to medicate depression. Sadness does not have to be medicated. Sadness is part of life. It is an inherent process of the human condition. I sadden myself, not every day, but every now and then I sadden myself. And I don't need to take a medicine for that. But when you realize that sadness, it extends, it does not pass. It has become almost a routine for you. So it's time to ask for help. This aspect you highlight is an impediment for many people to recognize that they have depression, because it is like one thing nullifying another. Oh, but I'm a person of faith. I can't have depression. We need to know how to differentiate things. Yes. The person who has faith also has faith does not prevent me from going through human processes, the human imbalances we build. Faith, it can help me overcome. I've already felt this in my life. You must have certainly felt those moments when you have the feeling that you can't live alone. The load on men is very heavy. You do not realize to accommodate the pain inside your heart. You cannot accommodate the disappointment inside your heart. It is natural that at a certain moment in life, we experience this loneliness. It's too heavy. But we also know, thanks to God, we, at some point in our lives, also find that, no matter how much we feel, we are not. Because that's when we will remember the people who are part of us. Those people who truly participate in our lives. The closest friends. The family members with whom we have ties. It ain't enough to be a relative, we already said that here, right? It has to have a bond. That person who, at the moment of her pain, she comes to her heart. You know you can count on her. This is God's historical action, my people. When by the strength of a heart that can hear us, when by the strength of a person who knows how to be on our side at the time of our weakness, we feel a little more encouraged to live the moment of difficulty. And this is when the bond we cultivated. We know that we have many relationships, but from time to time, God gives us the grace to overcome conventional territories. That person leaves to be just another known and becomes a person of your trust. I never tire of saying that. The greatest wealth we truly have in this life, my people, is confidence. You trust someone. This is very precious, because trust removes this feeling of loneliness. Confidence gives back us precious things that life removes us. When you know you can count on that person, that she is faithful. Trust is that opening you make your life and you allow other people to enter and that they have authority over you. The more we are converted, or the better. The more we have this human experience to love and be loved, the greater the opportunity God has to act on us. For a very simple fact, God goes through the action of the other in my life. When I have quality relationships, I experience in my life the strength of God acting on me through those people. As through advice I get, a call of attention I get, only those who love us want to open our eyes. For us to realize what needs to be modified in ourselves. We can only earn people who really love us because of it too. Only they are truly committed to our growth, to our happiness. Is that important to find out which people are truly the voice of God in our lives, in our history? They are the bridges where God goes by. Are the bridges for where God passes and finds us? Because sometimes he even passes through the bridge, but does not find us. Do you know why? Because we prefer to give bridge more value than to the one we cross. God comes to our lives through a word, through a well given, sensible advice. This is God's historical action. Is it a miracle? It may be, but this miracle we tease, because we are the ones who have the opportunity to deepen the relationships that God is allowing us. Get it? Simplicity, so that we can be Jerusalem, the city of the great temples. We can be Jericho, the city of great miracles. We can be the Sea of Galilee, the place of the great encounters finally. Each day, we are a little of this holy land. Now we are the place of the miracle. Sometimes we are the place of silence. No matter what the place is, where you identify with today, the important thing is that you are aware that of those many places that make up the Holy Land, you are one of them today. Look how it is. A lot of people, I will give you a simple example for you to understand. There are people who need to break with dating who are terrible, disastrous. That person only hurts you. You know it? But you have a bond with them. You have effective need. You can't break that relationship. So you suddenly encourage yourself. You get all clear before you. This person doesn't do me good. I can't marry that person. Because if in the time of dating is already like this, imagine at the time of my marriage, then in my married time, will become even worse hell than it already is. Then you encourage yourself, motivated by people next to you to break. This is terrible the day you break. Suffering is cruel within you. It seems that you will never recover again, that you only think of that person. Why? Because although it makes you so bad, you have a sick bond with it, of affective dependence. You know she is bad for you, but you don't know how to live without her. Then you start to take steps. The first week is horrible. You suffer. You cry. You can't hear the music. You can't smell it. You can't see that little piece of I don't know what he forgot at your home. That all that is terrible. But suddenly you start taking steps for liberation. It's like you are walking towards a land that will only do you good. And a month later, that suffering was better. 2 months later, that better suffering. And suddenly you are no longer remembering. Of course, there is still a silent bond being disarmed. Because affective dependence, it does not die from night. We need it. It's as if you are choking a cancer cell with the chemotherapy process, that you are removing the life of the cancer cell, which is the cell that kills us. Then let's say 3 months later, you meet again with that person and you have that famous relapse. There it is ready. The castle you were building, the floor you had been walking, which had been so difficult, you throw it away and you come back to Egypt. You come back to slavery. You do the same as Moses' companions wanted to do, eat onion again, eat the rotten, damaged food again. Then you resume that relationship because it is sick and you have not taken care of the proper distance you should maintain. Because when you have this affective dependence, you have to establish the distance, because otherwise you don't heal. You have to stop wanting to know about that person's life, because otherwise you don't heal. You need to stop running down her Facebook, because otherwise you don't heal. You need to stop investigating your life, where she went, where she was. You have to cease all points that may make you want to go back to Egypt, because otherwise you will never break free. Then 3 months later, you are beautiful and beautiful already, killing the cancer cell. You will give some more kisses on the mouth. Come back, that horrible dependence and hell returns in your life. In your first week is even good that everything is coming back. In a moment, my daughter, you are in hell worse than you were 3 months ago. And so, when we do not know how to live the discomfort that builds us, we get boycotted all the time. It's like stopping drinking. It's like stopping smoking. You run out of smoking a year and you celebrate because you have stopped throwing that carcinogenic toxin into your body. And suddenly you go there and light a silly cigarette. And that addiction comes back like a monster capable of eating you whole hell. All of that sacrifice you made of the early days without smoking go to the bag. Why? All that sacrifice goes to the bag. Why? Because you were not able to live the discomfort of renouncing. My people, it's impressive how this hand of God helps us like this, making us aware of what we need to break in our lives. These are situations that we need to set limits for them, because otherwise we will never be healed. We will be eternally ill in line with the needy, crying and begging a bolt of kindness of the other, a roll of affection for each other. For God's sake, we were not made for it. We did not go made to drag effectively dependent on others. We were made to love, and love only makes sense in our life if it is to build us, if it is to help us cross the discomfort of the desert. Otherwise, it makes no sense. This pseudo-love, this false love that sometimes we say feels for each other, that does not help us in the discomfort of the desert. I need to live my deserts. You need to live yours. And true friends are those who recognize the deserts the other needs to pass and speak. That's right. Let's go through this desert because you need it. Now Apollyanna, she wants that happy, ordained life. Remember that character? Apollyanna, where everything was the happy game, right? So as to murder this childish instinct that exists within you, which makes you afraid of life's discomfort. The discomfort of life, when well lived, it only makes us better. Take this little poor mask that you stick to your face for others to be eternally sorry for you. You only waste time in life like this. What a silly. God holds us in our hand is to be able to cross this desert. It is not to be falling forever and again eating the onions of Egypt because we had pity of us, because we had to pity the other. No. The walk is forward that goes. And a moment comes when Moses arrives before God and speaks. Now you solve this situation. Because I don't know more what to do. They have already built a gold calf in the middle of the way, have already confused. They are already loving even other situations. Then not even remembering that the Lord exists. They just don't come back because it's too far away. But they return in another way. Do not return in geography. They do not come back geographically because it was far from Egypt. They would die halfway. But they did not return geographically, but they returned affectionately. Because sometimes we have already surpassed the territory of our physical slavery. I already got out of jail, but the jail didn't leave me. That's how it works. I already stepped towards my freedom, but I didn't achieve my freedom. I did not decree the conquest of my freedom, so I am affectionately attached to my past, mourning the onions of Egypt, mourning the dating that ended, the situation that was over, the friendship that was betrayed. So when Moses is before the Red Sea and he gets terrified, because now they had nowhere to go, or cross the sea, or return to Egypt, and the Pharaoh's army was already coming to capture them. That he does. He has a private meeting with the Lord, a particular urgent audience. Call God's secretary and speak. For God's sake, you ask him to serve me today, that I can no longer be without that answer. Pharaoh's army is coming. And then he thinks God would give him an easy answer, right? Was going to give a quick solution? No. What does God speak? Remember, Gil? Remember? Run. Right? Enter this water. Look what a strong phrase. Tell the people to walk. I will not do for you what only you can do. I will give all the graces to make the miracle happen. I will strengthen your courage. But if you do not put your foot in the water, if you do not challenge the sea, it does not open. And that's what the people did. And today, motivated by the trip of the Holy Land, which today is the first opportunity I have to be with you, after having stepped on the ground, the same one who saw Jesus grow, you look at those places where he grew up, the places he certainly frequented, the things that enchanted his eyes, which filled his eyes. Somehow we start to know a little more friend of us. If we have the opportunity to go to the roots of our friendships, we certainly become more friendly, because it causes within us a form of knowledge that coexistence might not have given fully. Know the root, where our great friends was born. I confess to you that this was the mystique that took the Holy Land, knowing that I was knowing the floor of my best friend, life, the place where it sprouted, where all the great events took place, looking at the Sea of Galilee and thinking that it was there that Jesus found his friends. Put our foot in that water and think that even though it is not the same water from that moment, somehow we can set a bridge it. Somehow we can also feel like that time. Look there, the Holy Sepulchre. To think that the root of our faith is there. I wondered, my people, what brings sacredness to a place? What makes a land be holy? And it was so that we said goodbye to the Holy Land in the last celebration we performed there. A land is wider as it is loaded with meanings. The concept of the sacred is that it is you to remove from the commonplace, and you put in a reserved place. The sacred is what you have selected in the midst of everything that is ordinary, everything that is common, and you bring to a different atmosphere. It is you to remove the place every day, and you put it in the special place. When we say that the earth is holy, that it is sacred, it is because somehow the events that took place there were taken from the ordinary and became special for many people. So So that we need to remove the sandal of the feet the same way as Moses listened. Remove the sandal from the feet to enter a territory that Ishali, a territory that is holy because it is a sacred place for many people. It is a place of meaning for many people, including for me. Stepping the Holy Land was to recognize the places of my meanings. There, seeing the place where Jesus lived is somehow transporting me. To think that today everything I believe, everything that moves me as a priest, as a man, was there that happened. It was there that everything that moves our faith happened. How wonderful, my people. It is us to return from the Holy Land with the desire to sanctify what is ours. To think that I am also invited to make my land a holy land. Discover on the ground of my house, on the floor of my house, the same sacredness that is in the Holy Land. Because only faith, meaning, can make this bridge between my heart and the Holy Land that I stepped on. Then I collect the sacredness to me too, and I begin to pronounce my name by recalling me that I am also a holy territory for a very simple reason. The same God who walked in that land also walks here. The same Jesus who stepped on that soil also stepped here. And even if you have never stepped on the Holy Land, you can also say, I am also a holy soil. Because if the soil gets holy because the sacred stepped on it, ready, you are also a saint territory. Because God passes you time all. You are also Jericho. You are also Galilee. You are also Galilee. You are also Jerusalem. Where God goes through all the time and happens, the soil of his heart, the soil of his... We are also Holy Land. We are the extension of that holy place. In us God also happens. Just as God elected a small place in the world, a place full of contradiction, a place full of wars, God chose that place, the belly button of the world, to fully manifest in his Son, Jesus' Son, because the mystery of the incarnation needed homeland, needed a city, needed a place. Bethlehem, a small town in the countryside, a poor town, that's where God chose. Who knows today you also recognize yourself that the poverty of your heart makes you similar to Bethlehem, a town hidden in the middle of so many others. How many times do we feel this, right? How many times do we look at us and feel a city hidden in the midst of so many other cities? But then, in this place that my eyes do not reach, that may not even come to the knowledge of many people. Because the mystery of the incarnation, it has its historical unfolding in each of us. God remains embodied by the strength of his Son in us. It is the mystery of the resurrection. It is the mystery of the incarnation. It is the mystery of God's continuity in time. God continues to happen in you and you. So that we can be Bethlehem, the city of vine. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey at Path of Faith. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content like this. No one can look at the past, observe the present, and make the future plan on the rush. And that is why the Christian life suits reflection. We cannot be a qualified Christian if we do not reflect our own lives. So be calm with you. If you have difficulty with the brakes, exercise in them. Start looking slower to your way of being. Start paying attention to you, the way you treat people, the way you work, the way you study, the way you choose to be who you are. Reflect. Be able to put it for yourself until you describe from time to time what your biggest defects are. what you have done to overcome each of them. What are your qualities? And what have you been doing to make them grow even more? This is the reflective pause. This is the moment you have the opportunity to qualify your life, to do this exercise and recognize in him a religious act. It is a religious right. Reflect on the light of Jesus. This is what I wish for you, who today, by observing your life, by paying attention to the way you are living, you commit to you. Because the first to benefit from your change is not others. The first will not be the others. The first to benefit from everything you will provide, change, be better. It's yourself. Because deep down, the greatest comfort we can want in this life is to be happy in ourselves. You are satisfied knowing that you are being the human being you can be. And no one can arrive in this place. No one can reach this condition without reflecting. That's why today I wish Jesus' eyes, when looking into your eyes, he can provoke in you silence. May he provoke in you this desire to look at yourself. Without your excesses, see? Without your lies. Sometimes you need your lies so that the other looks better. God doesn't need it. Throw away all the lies you tell you yourself. All those explanations you give yourself. You don't need them right now. The God who looks at you, the God who finds you, dispenses any and all lies you told yourself. It's you and your truth. It is in this territory that God wants to act. No matter how worse your indigence is, no matter how much your mistakes are, no matter how much your past, your story is, none of this is worth now. Do you know why? Because God sees us with future eyes. Finding me tonight, when finding you, God only sees the future. Isn't that wonderful? To think that today God only sees the future in you? This is salvation. And if we accept that God saves us with his gaze, a look which has the power to reopen us and bring us new life. Lord be with you. He is between us. Pour upon our blessing, God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Sometimes we have that impression that we are making for us, right? Sometimes we have the impression that we are doing for others, but it is not for us. Notice your needs. You have needs is no use you want to offer the other a solution if you have not experienced before. We are where we experience life, my people. I need all the time of words that pasture my soul, because very easily I get in the facilities of selfishness. Many times I get in the addictions of a unhappy life. Sometimes I have a huge ability to be my worst enemy. How many times have you been the worst enemy? Your worst enemy. How many times have you had that illusion that others could destroy you? No, it is not. Because ultimately, it is you who will welcome your voice or reject it. What is being said on the outside if you welcome inside you? Then you become an enemy. If what is being said is bad, do you keep it? We are often traumatized because we are children. The father, in the face of a difficulty you had, calls you dumb. Your father's word is so important to you that you believe you waste your intelligence because in that moment of life you believed in what your father said. You couldn't bloom your intelligence because you believed your father said you were dumb and you stayed. It cannot. You cannot commit this crime against you. The voice that shepherd is that voice that calls us to mature, to blossom him, all that is wonderful in us, my people. That's why I need to have a friend, a pastor friend. I have a friendly shepherd, who is Pastor Caio Fabio, who is a man who participates even in my life. And he is a pastor friend. I brought to my life by the spiritual authority he has, a man I know, I identify very close to the truth, the wisdom of Eugerio. And I want him with me, because he is my friend, or simple person in my daily life, which has prophetic words in my story, like Aunt Ju. Fabio, the Lord has healing power. How many times have I thought about it? But her word yesterday, to me, confirmed what I already know somehow. Pay attention to what those who love you tell you. You can see that many destruction happen in our lives when we stop listening to the people who love us, or when we exchange. Stop listening to the people who love us to hear those who have just arrived. How many times in our relationships do we destroy each other because we stopped listening to the people who love us? The infidelity between couples happens a lot in this moment, when we stop hearing the other, when the other's voice fails to wake up the meaning we know in our lives. And after you fall into betrayal, that you fall into the feeling of failure. What hurts me most is that at some point I heard. At some point, I heard. The voice I didn't love me, unfaithful, cheating, unable to live the most solid and beautiful within the relationships I established. I start living outside me, or the voices I'm listening to help build me the sin addresses, or the voice I'm listening to her sharpen what is more sordid, more sinful. And no wonder we have that saying, isn't it? Tell me who you walk, and I will say who you are. I would modify it because Jesus walked with a lot of bad people and did not become it to you. Tell me who you hear, that sometimes you may be working with a person you know is bad. You walk with her, but you don't allow her bad influences on you. Because the voice doesn't call you. The voice doesn't reverberate inside you. When she arrives, she does not produce fruits. Then the voice grazing us. If you want to pay attention to the quality of your life, who has influence on you? What are the voices that arouse their voices in fear? Sometimes we have the impression that we are doing for us, isn't it? Or rather, sometimes we have the impression that we are doing for others. But it is not for us. Notice your needs. Do you have needs you want to offer the other a solution if you didn't try it before? We are where we experience life, my people. I need all the time of words that shepherd my soul. Because very easily, I get in the facilities of selfishness. Many times I get in the addictions of an unhappy life. Sometimes I have a huge ability to be my worst enemy. How many times have you been the worst enemy? Your worst enemy. How many times have you had that illusion that others could destroy you? No, it is not. Because ultimately, it is you who will welcome the voice or reject it. What is being said on the outside, if you welcome inside, then you become your enemy. If what is being said is bad, you keep it. We are often traumatized because we are children. The father, in the face of a difficulty you had, calls you dumb. Your father's word is so important to you that you believe you waste your intelligence because at that moment of life, you believed what your father said. You couldn't bloom your intelligence because you believed your father said you were dumb and you stayed. It cannot. You cannot commit this crime against you. A pastoria voice is that voice that calls us to mature, to blossom him, all that is wonderful in us. My people. That's why I need to have a friend, a pastor friend. I have a friendly shepherd who is Pastor Caio Fabio, who is a man who participates even in my life, and he is a pastor friend. I brought to my life, by the spiritual authority he has, a man I know, which I identify very close to the truth, evangelical wisdom. And I want him with me because he is my friend or simple person in my Deadiah, who has prophetic words in my story, like Andrew. I said, Fabio, the Lord has healing power. How many times have I thought about it, but her word yesterday to me confirmed what I already know somehow. Pay attention to what those who love you tell you. You can see that many destruction happen in our lives when we stop listening to the people who love us or when we exchange. Stop listening to the people who love us to hear those who have just arrived. How many times in our relationships we destroyed because we stopped listening to the people who love us? Infidelity between couples happens a lot right now when we stop hearing the other, when the other's voice fails to wake the meaning we know in our lives. And after you fall into betrayal, that you fall into the feeling with failure, unfaithful, cheating, unable to live the most solid and beautiful within the relationships I established. I start living outside of me. Why do the voices that I am listening to help medify the addresses of sin? Or the voice that I am listening to, it sharpens what is more sordid, more sinful. And no wonder we have that saying, right? Tell me who you walk, and I will say who you are. Tell me who you hear, because sometimes you may be working with a person you know is bad. You walk with her, but you don't allow her bad influences on you. Because the voice doesn't call you. The voice doesn't reverberate inside you. When she arrives, she does not produce fruit, then the voice grazing us. If you want to pay attention to the quality of your life, who has information about you?